So recently had one of our high-end mastermind members who was just exhausted. She's a solo with help business. She does very, very well, but she's been working hard. She was exhausted. And she basically said, how can I add more transactions between now and the end of the year? And after very quick assessment, we realized that that was probably not the right question for her to be asking. So today we're getting into it on the idea of finishing the year strong and also asking the right questions. This is Commissioned, the podcast where we help people get out of the grind, out of the beating, out of the lack of profitability and into a business that you really love, that supports the life you want to live, the freedom, the wealth, and the impact that comes with a really great business. We're called Commissioned for two reasons. One, we want to earn those commissions. And two, we want to be on mission out there together, making a really big difference, ideally eternal, in the world through our real estate businesses. Hey, folks, I'm Todd Tremonti, and I do host this thing, but I don't do it alone. I've got Ian Daniels, my day-to-day team leader, here with me. Welcome, Ian.
Oh, thank you.
And he helps me run the Todd Tremonti home selling team here in Dallas, Texas, where we do well over $1 million in gross commission income every year at a high rate of profitability. And we've been coaching agents. I've been doing that for 15 plus years, and Ian's been helping me for a big chunk of that. And so we're going to get into it today. So this client was basically saying, I just want to add some deals, but you could see in her eyes that she almost didn't even want to ask the question. It was like, I don't even know if I want to, but when I look at the math, I would like to. And she does well. So this wasn't a need, but she's a hard charger. She's an achiever. She wanted to make this happen. But it didn't take us long after a little bit of discussion to realize that that wasn't really the best question. And so I ended up rephrasing after some discussion, what's the easiest thing you could do? What's the most fun thing you could do that would be almost impossible to fail to add some more transactions to your business? For her, I think she was looking for like 5 or 6 more transactions in the last like 5 months of the year, another deal a month or so, because she's already doing well with a great pipeline, but that would put her over the top, right? So her whole demeanor changed. Her physical posture changed when I said, what would be fun? And she started thinking, and so she said, I could do more client events. She really enjoys being with her clients. She enjoys the client events, and she does all kinds of fun food stuff, neighborhood stuff. She does some small ones. She does some big ones. And so we talked about that, and then we started getting into the dynamics and the details and the logistics of that. And obviously, she pretty quickly returned to overwhelm, right? Like, great, I don't really want to have to plan that and do the invites and go prepare and get a space and do goodie bags and all this stuff. So we just said, hey, well, don't do that. That's okay. We kept talking more and more about it. Where's your business coming from? I've got a couple of good vendor partners. Okay, great. A lot of it is referral. Do you feel like there's any relationships within your referral base that aren't really well tapped into? And she said, well, there's some, but they don't really come to my events and things. And so look, the premise here is simply that the question she was asking wasn't getting her the right answers. The question was, how could I add some transactions to my business? And this is, again, a successful, very competent person. So the problem is there was about 57 answers that would have been right. Technically, like you could get some more transactions if you go call expired listings. You could get some more listings if you go do a bunch of open houses. You could get some buyers if you call a bunch of your internet leads. You could go knock on doors. You could go visit model homes. There's a lot of things that would have been technically accurate answers to this could help you sell more homes, but none of it got her to where she really wanted to be, which was out of the overwhelm, out of the beating of what right now is that's not the state of her business. That's just the state of her attitude at the moment, but which is a very busy, full life, right? And so the question became, what would be a really fun, almost impossible to fail way for you to add some business? And so it's interesting. We recorded a podcast episode, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks ago.
A few weeks ago.
Yeah. It's probably published if you're hearing this, it's been published.
Yeah.
If you're hearing this, it's been published. And so the podcast was how to turn $2,000 into $20,000 every single month in your residential real estate business, or something very similar to that title. But it hadn't been published yet when we were talking to her. And so I simply said to her, hey, what would you do? She loves food. I love food. We have that in common. I said, what would you do if you could take people out to very nice meals one time every weekday or once a week, whatever makes sense for you. And if that could almost not fail to help you achieve your goals between now and the end of the year. And what did she do?
Well, I was going to say the other episode was on July 21st. So
Okay,
absolutely check that out. What did she do? She started taking people out for meals.
Yeah, she implemented. But immediately in the spot, she
made a list, I think, of like 10 people immediately that came to mind where it was like, okay, I've got my next 3 months worth of lunches made up. I think it was I forget the number, but she was like, I've got three months worth of things planned out already. I'm going to reach out to them. I'm going to get it all scheduled.
Yeah, it took her like 3.5 seconds to all of a sudden be smiling again.
Yeah.
To be excited, to think, oh my gosh, I want to do that, not I'm willing to just go do what I have to, which by the way, sometimes you just have to go do what you have to do. And she has the resources to do this. So I'm not saying this is for everybody, but her whole demeanor changed. She went immediately into implementation, like Ian just said. She was writing down names. I think she said she could do 2 a week realistically.
Yeah.
And so it was like, the next 3 months was however many that is, 24 or something like that. And she's already done a couple of those. And her feedback was that one was with a consistent referral partner, vendor partner of hers, and it went really well. And the other one, I believe, was a past client that she hadn't connected with in a while. And it went really, really well. And it led to some follow-up. No direct business quite yet. But she's only done 2 and she's committed. She's having a blast. People are tremendously grateful. We talked all about that in that July 21st episode about turning 2,000 into 20,000. But that's not, this is not an episode about that strategy. This is an episode about what happens, A, when you're thinking about finishing the year strong. And then B, that we're not often asking the right questions. And then C, maybe even what is our approach? How do we make decisions like this? So when you decide, okay, I'm not on a trajectory right now to hit my goals by the end of the year, but I want to be, how do you then decide what to do about it? Now, Ian, you talk to, our mastermind members, our coaching members, lots of people that want to join, our team members here, agents we're working with here in the market. What do you think? What do you see most agents do when they need more business?
When they need more business,
the first thing I see most of them do is complain, by the way. But after that.
What I was going to say was they kind of panic. Yeah. People panic. People oftentimes will run to maybe the well that's worked before.
Yep, which is not a bad thing to do.
And people will also try and do more of the thing that's easy to do.
Yeah, so I think you're right on all that. And none of that ends up being consistent, is what I would say.
Yeah, it becomes a little bit of a mix and match goodie bag situation. It's like you go into like a central market or somewhere like that that's got, 30, 40 different types of candy and nuts. And you used to go in those places as kids, right? And we call them pick and mixes.
The grab bag.
Yeah, and it's like, I have a little bit of this, and a little bit of that, and a little bit of this, and a little bit of that. And then all of a sudden, you just got this hodgepodge of stuff. And that's gross. Kind of what I'm picturing when people need more. That it's not going quite as it was. It's like, well, let me try this real quick, and I'll try that real quick, and I'll try that real quick. Yep. And when we're talking to people, I was talking to somebody, I don't even think it was real estate related recently. I think it was on a different business. And I just said, the biggest piece of advice we give people when they're trying something new is like, you got to give it 3 to 6 months minimum.
Yeah. So my version of what you just said is, people just start running in every direction, right? It's just scattershot. I got to do more. I got to do more. I got to do more. And usually it's stuff they don't want to do. To your point, some of it, they'll go do the easiest thing they can find. Pretty quickly, usually, not always, but pretty quickly that doesn't work out. So now they're turning to have to do something they don't want to do. And that doesn't work immediately, so they might quit that. Or maybe the most disciplined among us do keep doing it until it solves the problem, and then they immediately stop because they didn't want to do it in the first place. And so you end up with really the pattern of the industry is the roller coaster, right? It's business is up, business is down. When it's up, I don't do the work to build the business, and then it goes down. And when it's down, I panic. I do what you just said. I run in every direction. I work my tail off. It's not fun. It's not enjoyable. I make enough money to survive. And then most people decide that that's not a good pattern. They don't want to ride that ride, and then they're out. Now, most people listening to Commissioned are either successful agents with help, team leaders, brokers. They tend to be more successful, have been doing it for a while. So they've either found a way to survive the ride, or they have not yet been on the ride for a full cycle, or they have learned what it is that we're talking about, which is I need to ask better questions. I need to make better decisions. And to the lesser point of the show today is maybe they found some things that it's actually fun to them, that they really do enjoy, that is sustainable, right? So you usually need more than one, because a lot of these things are not sustainable. Now, to go back to this person that we're talking about and the episode from July 21st, the 2,000 to 20,000 idea, taking people out for high-end meals is only one way you could do that. You could do that with entertaining events, gifts, experiences, education, all kinds of other stuff. But this one just happened to be taking people out to a meal and having a budget of around $100 and doing that 20 times a month. If that was the only thing you did, depending on the scale of your business, you could do really well, eat a lot of great food, go to a lot of places and enjoy it. You might be unhealthy. But the point is, that is just one way to express the idea that if you ask the right questions and if you get better and better at making those decisions, you can end up with a business that you enjoy, that is consistent, or at least it has several things that can lead to consistency. And you're no longer on the roller coaster with the highest highs and the lowest lows. Ideally, what ended up looking like a mountain range with big peaks and low valleys ends up being a little bit more of a slow rolling highway, or, in a perfect scenario, a flat, predictable highway. But some of us don't even want that. Some of us enjoy a slightly slower season to retool, rest, rebuild, re-engage the business. And then we like a run and gun season. But most of us would appreciate more consistency and less volatility. So if we can ask the right questions, if we can make better decisions once we gather data from asking the right questions, and then if we allow ourselves to believe that the business can be fun, it can be enjoyable, and there can be things that are really, really rewarding that are fun and enjoyable. Sometimes we tell ourselves, no, the fun part is getting that first-time home buyer a home. Of course, that's fun. It's life-changing. It's transformational. It's fun to win awards. It's fun to be recognized as an expert. It's fun, to sit in a closing with somebody. But for a lot of people, the lead gen part is not fun. That's leads, even open houses, even if their business is purely referral built and it's just a lot of like awkward stranger conversations. Think bigger, dream more, allow yourself to believe that between now and the end of this calendar year, if you're looking to make a push, if you're looking to add to your pipeline, the better question than how can I sell more might be for you, what could you do that you would really, really enjoy, that would be highly unlikely to fail at helping you achieve your income and your transaction goals between now and the end of the year. Now, the answer might be something you can't do, right? Like if I could take everybody to the moon, they might think I'm the coolest person in their life. I can't take everybody to the moon. I could take them to a nice meal. If I had a lower budget, I might be able to create experiences for them. If I had no budget, I might be able to resource them with some information. I might make them feel really loved and cared for. I might be able to help them solve problems. But I need to look for a way that fits. I like it. I enjoy it. It is so likely to work that it would be almost impossible to fail. And so if that's the case, I win. I don't have to ride the roller coaster of pain. I don't have to go through the drama that most in the industry do of the highest highs and the lowest lows. And I get to kind of level that out. Now, I know you had something on your mind, but jump in whenever you want. But the idea here is I get to do something fun. I get to stay in the business because I want to stay in the business because I enjoy what I'm doing. It may not be a fit for everybody. And I know you're big on you got to think about what's in it for them.
What excites you and what you're passionate about and what you find fun is not necessarily the same for everybody that's in your friend group, your family members, your clients, past clients, prospects. It's really important to know them and to know what makes them click and to tailor the fun for both people.
Yeah, fun, engagement, whatever you're calling this. Now, again, remember, the whole point here is to finish the year strong. The whole point here is to get business, have happy clients, repeat referrals, and be more profitable and have incredible impact. So I agree with you entirely. Food tends to be a bit of a universal language that most of us enjoy. So if you enjoy food, do it. This is not about the food thing. This is about asking the right question. This is about finishing the year strong. But if your people love sports, take them to sports. If your people love art, go do art stuff with them. If you don't have any budget, you're not going to do any of that. You're going to be looking for ways to create experiences another way, or create affinity and reciprocity another way. But all of this stems from asking the right questions. And by the way, or having someone around you that can help you clarify the right questions. And then giving yourself permission, believing, dreaming big enough, thinking big enough, allowing yourself enough confidence. That's a whole, we could unpack that for forever. Allowing yourself enough confidence to go and do something that you enjoy that could be really profitable to finish this year really strong. I know there's a lot of people out there asking that question right now. So if you would enjoy some help implementing that, I want you to really strongly consider attending our Real Growth Summit for 2026. It's actually September 16th and 17th in Dallas, Texas, far north Dallas. And we're hosting a bunch of our mastermind members, coaching clients, and a bunch of people that have been coming to this event. This will be the 8th year. Our headline sponsor is Real Geeks, and we'll be there sharing some of our best stuff. There will be many, many, many great speakers and panels. This is a great time with cocktail parties and breakout sessions and bonus sessions and all sorts of things to grow the business that supports the life you want to live, to get out of the chaos and the grind and into the freedom and the wealth building and the joy and the impact of having a really great business. It is the event for people that want to be commissioned, full of commissions, earning a ton of money, and commissioned on mission with others to have great impact in people's lives through your business and through your life. So check all that out at realgrowthsummit.com. Pricing is still discounted, but it's going up every few weeks or so right now until we get to the final push. There's 40-something tickets still available, and then that's that. We do cap the room, so it can be a really great event. So check that out at realgrowthsummit.com. We'll talk about things like this and all sorts of other topics to help you grow your business. We'll see you there, realgrowthsummit.com.